Hello, everybody. Chris Lee, Jay Greeson, and Chase Robinson of Southeastern 16 here to preview Michigan at Oklahoma. You can catch that at 6:30 Central on ABC this coming Saturday night. Michigan, a 5.5-point underdog. In this one, over-under on this game is 47.5 at FanDuel as of Sunday afternoon. Oklahoma comes in a 35-3 winner over Illinois State. Michigan, a 34-17 win over New Mexico at home. Jay Greeson, I'm going to see with you if the lines and the over-under have been updated. Also, any interesting totals or side bets on this game that you find interesting at FanDuel, which, of course, sponsors this channel, where you can get player props, futures, and more. You can get same-game parlays with FanDuel's SGPN menu that is deep and impressive. So you could build some fun combinations around player performances and game outcomes. FanDuel has you covered with competitive odds and tons of betting options. Just remember to bet responsibly and have fun with it. What are you seeing on FanDuel as of Monday morning on this one, Jay?
Odds have changed a little bit. I don't know if it's whether the news of Michigan's leading tackler is going to miss the first half after being called for targeting in their season opening win. But Oklahoma is now a 6.5-point favorite. If you want to bet Oklahoma, I advise you to wait. Michigan is a national name. Not saying Oklahoma is not a blue blood. What I'm saying is the odds makers adjust their numbers considering how much money comes in. And there's just such an enormous Michigan fan base that a lot of casual sports bettors are going to bet on the team they want to root for. So I think if you wanted to bet Oklahoma, you'll get a number better than the 6.5 at FanDuel right now. The under has also dropped down to 46.5. My personal favorite play on this, and I know we'll get in all the angles of it, I love even money Oklahoma minus 1.5 in the first quarter, because Oklahoma's at home and Michigan's starting quarterback is Bryce Underwood, who is a bona fide true freshman and a teenager making his first start in a place that, as of right now, what I saw online, the cheapest ticket you can find to get in Norman, Oklahoma, is $324 on StubHub.
Ooh, wow. Yeah, big one here. Chase, I want to get your thoughts on what you saw from Oklahoma in week one in just a moment. But first of all, a reminder, help out those who help the channel. That includes Game Time Sidekicks. GameTimeSidekicks.com is where you go to order. You can get officially licensed stainless steel drinkware, all SEC schools, over 350 other universities. So Michigan fans listening, you can get your Michigan gear there too. Everything from stainless steel sippy cups, tumblers, and 40-ounce bottles, plus shaker cups. SE16 gets you 20% off your entire order at GameTimeSidekicks.com. All right, Jace. Thought Oklahoma did what it needed to do a week ago with a 36-3 win over a pretty good FCS team in Illinois State. I think John Mateer was everything Oklahoma would have hoped for, 30 or 37 passing, 10.2 yards per pass play. What were your thoughts on Oklahoma heading out of that one and coming into this one?
Yeah, John Mateer did what he needed to do, but to me, the glaring thing about Oklahoma is they couldn't establish a run game. And we've talked a lot about their running backs, Jadyn Ott, who apparently had a little bit of an injury in fall camp, so he didn't see much at all. Torrey Blaylock had 44 yards rushing, and that was the most of any running back in the game on Saturday. So they're going to be able to have to run the ball this season, and maybe Illinois State was just putting a stop to that, but they've got to be able to establish a run game, and you've got to be able to do that in the SEC. So that's something that really stood out to me when I watched some Oklahoma, when I went back and looked at some things, is that they couldn't run the ball, and that is something they're going to have to do this season there in Norman, and something they're going to have to do this Saturday against Michigan, is be able to run the ball, find some consistency there. You've got several guys, utilize them, but they've got to have a guy over 44 yards rushing in a game.
I think one of the surprises, Keontez Lewis was their leading receiver. 9 catches, 119 yards, 2 scores. He was a first-year transfer from Southern Illinois. Didn't see that one happening. Maybe I wasn't paying enough attention to what was coming out of fall camp there. But I think this is the intriguing side of the matchup, guys. You've got a really good Michigan defense, Jay. You got Derek Moore and Rayshawn Benny up front. They are both potential top 2-round picks in the coming NFL draft. Jair Hill at corner is probably a top 4-round prospect. Safeties TJ Metcalf and Rod Moore, also draftable prospects. And at linebacker, they're pretty good. Jaysean Barnum was a first-team All-Big Ten pick at Phil Steele, and Ernst Hausman, who led them in tackles a week ago, was second-team preseason All-Big Ten at Phil Steele. But Barnum is going to miss the first half after a targeting call that got appealed, but the appeal was not granted. So, Jay, I think this is interesting. Michigan always loaded on defense, and certainly a lot of dudes up front against an Oklahoma offense that we're really interested to see how it does against a real team here.
Well, that's completely fair. Also interesting on FanDuel is Michigan has better odds, like plus 3,300 to win the national championship. Oklahoma is plus 4,000 at FanDuel. I think those numbers should be inverted. One of the things I would be troubled about, because you're right, Michigan's got a whole lot of talented pieces defensively, but they're going to miss one of their bell cows in Barnum. The game was probably a little more competitive, at least on the scoreboard, than a lot of people may take away in the stat box with a 34-17 over New Mexico. I kind of like to look at drive charts in mismatches. New Mexico had their two touchdown drives covered 15 and 12 plays. So if Michigan's not able to get off the field against New Mexico, so it wasn't like it was like a big play score or they hit a 70-yard pass. The other field goal was a Michigan turnover that became a short field and an easy field goal. But if Michigan's going to allow New Mexico the opportunity to extend drives and not get them off the field, they could be in some trouble at Norman because John Mateer is going to make plays.
Yeah, the box score, like I'm not really sure how this was a 34-17 game when I look at it. New Mexico averaged 3.6 yards a play. Michigan averaged what 7.2. I think is one of those things like if you play the game again with how it went, the score is probably a lot more lopsided. But on the other hand, maybe a concern that if you're Michigan, New Mexico is probably a bottom 5 to 10 team in the FCS. I mean, you can make excuses however you want. It probably shouldn't have been that close, but it is a weird game to look at and say, hey, it probably should have been more lopsided than it was. You can also say the same thing about Oklahoma too. And we talk a lot about Oklahoma's offense, but man, that defense is so good across the board. I think they were really tough up front with R. Mason Thomas and Grayson Halton and some of the dudes on a really deep defensive line. David Stone, another talent they've got there. They've got some talent in the back end of the defense too. So I think with a freshman quarterback, as Jay pointed out, in Bryce Underwood, granted a super talented one, but it's a freshman. It's the first time on the road. And Justice Haynes, the Alabama transfer, kind of was a lot of their offense last week. 159 yards and 3 touchdowns. I'm very interested to see, in particular, what Bryce Underwood in Michigan can generate in the passing game against a really good OU defense.
I think that's going to be a huge part of this is what can Oklahoma do to stop that, to adjust that. Anytime, I mean, they allowed 3 points to Illinois State. Anytime you can not give up a touchdown, especially late in games like that, I mean, I think that says something about your defense to only allow a field goal. So I think this is a good Oklahoma defense. They've really honed in on some things this offseason, and Brent Venables has been very open about that because it's such a big year. Like there's a lot of pressure on him. So I think that Oklahoma has got to put a lot of pressure on Underwood, make him make mistakes, and I think they can. I think this is that kind of deep defense. You talked about the depth up front for Oklahoma, and I think this is going to be one of the strengths of this team.
Yeah, that's a good point. Oklahoma did have a couple of sacks a week ago in the opener against Illinois State. So watch for that. Again, the dude's there to do it. But, Jay, I think you pointed out the key. Again, Bryce Underwood, this is going to be the first time playing in one of these kind of spots. And I think that's probably your key to the game is how does Bryce Underwood go in and handle all the noise and the pressure that'll be up against him in Norman?
Without question. I think it's also very fair that you talked about the ability to kind of ignore the box score in overmatched week ones. Everybody in the Michigan building and the Oklahoma building also know who they have week 2. I mean, game day is going to be there. I'm certain both of their offensive plans were exceedingly vanilla. I mean, I think one of the things you really have to wonder is who on the perimeter is going to test Oklahoma's secondary for Bryce Young. I mean, not a whole lot of usage with the wide receivers. Their leading receiver was their tight end. He threw multiple passes to running backs. It is, and granted, it was a game script that you had the game comfortable. You're up 2 scores at halftime. You probably never felt threatened, but the pressure both in the pocket and in his helmet is going to be something Bryce Underwood has not seen. And look, when these kids come out and they're the number 1 recruit in the country, they've already been through so much. But this is a different kettle of fish because that place is going to be bonkers.
Let's get to picks here in a second. Before we do, just a reminder, we're brought to you by Rockform, which makes the world's strongest magnetic phone case, extreme protection, super strong magnets, and Rock-Lock secure mounting. It has the same military-grade standards with their case accessories as they do the actual cases. SEC 25 for 25% off your entire order at rockform.com. We are also brought to you by Hovi Dry Goods, which makes your new favorite hat. Look no further than Hovi Hats. That's HOVI. For high-quality headwear with a great fit and unique designs, and Jay Greeson can testify, he's holding up one of their hats. It is a superb fit for large heads, which Jay Greeson has. Promo code will be coming soon, but keep watching the channel, and you can get a discount on some tremendous hats there at Hovi Dry Goods. All right, picks. I'll start here. I just think both defenses I like. Oklahoma's offense I like. I'm still trying to figure out what Michigan has. This is a big spot for Bryce Underwood. Now, I think the downside is Brent Venables has not been great about winning these kind of games, and there's a lot of pressure on him. By the way, Michigan coach Sharon Moore is going to coach. He's not suspended for these games. We'll be suspended a couple of games later in September, but not this one. I feel like all those things at home, I trust Oklahoma's offense more in this one. That's why I'll take the Sooners. What do you think, Chase?
Yeah, I think Oklahoma gets this win, and I think it being in Norman will definitely help. It's a night game there, and like you mentioned, Jay, game day is going to be there. There's going to be a lot around that game, and I've been high on Oklahoma all off season. I've got a lot of faith in the Sooners, so I'm going to take Oklahoma getting a good win at home on Saturday night.
I think they win by 2 touchdowns. I think they start fast, which is why my favorite play on the board. And I will make this play at FanDuel. We're recording this Monday on Labor Day because we're working hard for you. We love you. Big hug. Everybody in here for the big hug. Come on. Everybody in here for the big hug. But love Oklahoma -1.5 in the first quarter. And I think they win the game by multiple scores. This will be very much in my retirement portfolio come this weekend at FanDuel.
All right. Hope you enjoyed the preview. If you did, hit the subscribe button, leave us a thumbs up, and look for us on all your audio podcast platforms too. We'll be here to recap the game after it is played. Anyway, for Jay Greeson and Chase Robinson, I'm Chris Lee at Southeastern 16. God bless you. Thank you for watching. We'll see you again soon.